The first thing we're going to do is mat our piece. The paper, this behind our artwork is the mat. It's going to create a beautiful border that if we follow directions, we'll have time to decorate in a little bit. First thing we're going to do, you're going to put dots of glue. Are you putting on the black paper or are you putting on the white paper? The little tiny white paper or the fancy paper? The fancy paper. Then you're going to swoop, 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 swoop so it doesn't bleed out the end. Your dirty hands, you just rub together and then it'll burn right off. You are going to eyeball it. What eyeball means is you're going to look, you're going to try to put it as close to the middle and then push down. If you're worried about your hands being dirty because you touched the inky table, you can always turn it to the back. You're going to put the sticker with your name on it on the black side, and this side is going to be for us to paint. This is the part my students struggle with the most. Say, me.
Me.
And my face partner.
And my face partner.
Point to the person across from you.
The one that the person across my head.
Are going to use the same cup.
Same cup.
To clean our brush. So I'm using this cup and the person across from me is also using this cup. Are we using this clear water? When you get your paintbrush, here are the bristles. Please don't touch them because they should have some ink on them. Here is the handle and here's the ferrule. You're going to put the ferrule right here in that place after you wash it in one of the cups. Watching first. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the littlest, teeny tiniest bit of ink on my ink tray. Then with the same dark water, I'm gonna create a gray. Do you see right here? What I can see on the side is the gray. When you use these Sumi-e paintbrushes, you're gonna hold it about midway. And then I want you to practice making some vertical and horizontal strokes. If you notice yours is too light, you might add a little bit more to make it a darker gray, but we want it to be gray. Do you understand? All right, a nice gray. I'm gonna practice making that two-toned ink brush, all right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna soak up the gray, and I'm only gonna put the tip in the darker ink, and then I'm going to slant my brush, put it down, I'm still holding in that middle, and then I'm gonna go across wide, and do you see how I have a darker side and a lighter side? Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna soak up that gray. I'm gonna put black on the end of mine, and I'm gonna work upside down because the shadow is gonna be underneath the branch. So I'm gonna create the larger branch. Then as I go off, I might leave some room to put some flowers in and get smaller and smaller, smaller and smaller. Now, the reason I said this is the bottom is because I want that shadow on the bottom, right? But do you see how the light side is closer to me? So when I turn it over, the shadow's on the bottom. Now, if you want that shadow to be darker, you can always dip it in the dark again, and while it's wet, make that thin line that we just practiced on the side you would like to be darker. Do you see how I'm just making that shadow look a little darker? If you'd like to create some texture, you can create some little dots and it's gonna make it look more, do you see how it looks more wooden because it has that bumpy texture? I've rinsed my paintbrush over there. Now I'm gonna dip it in that clean water. Hopefully most of the ink is off. And then I'm going to swirl it in the red. I'm gonna bring it over here to my tray so I can add some water so I can make a light red, also known as pink. The dots aren't gonna bother me. Here's some of the basic shapes you can do is that, remember how they said that side, so you can go from the inside and turn, inside, turn, inside, turn, inside. Do you see how I'm just moving the outside of the paintbrush? Now if they run together, that's fine. Some of the blossoms are going to be pointed away from you, so they're just going to be 3 kind of little teardrops pointed away from you. Some of the little blossoms aren't even going to be open. They're just going to be little circles. If you left a little place in your wood, I would add some blossoms into those little spaces. And then if you, near the ends is usually where the ones that aren't open yet, but you can also put some open ones, some pointing away, some pointing down. Do you see how I did that? Is it slow or quick and fast? Okay, now what I'm gonna do is, if this is dry, I can add more water, but straight from here, I'm gonna go in the middle to create that wet on wet. Do you see how I'm going in the middle? Yeah. And that water's gonna spread out to make those dark centers. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the stamp, I'm gonna stamp it on the stamp pad, put it down at the bottom, just like a real Japanese or Chinese artist mark.
I'm going to allow you to choose different stages of your art. If you are loving this boneless look, this wet look, I'm fine with you stopping right here. You can also add some lines to create some tension and some details. If you're feeling confident with your line work with this larger Sumi-e brush, you can go in and you can create some of the parts of the flower. Once again, holding it that midway place. You want to use those loose strokes, quick and fast. If you're not feeling as confident with the Sumi-e brush, you can use a more traditional one, doing those quick strokes. You're going to notice that I have not done those outlines on all of the flowers. That is because I want to give the illusion of depth. The ones with a stronger outline are closer, and the ones without outlines are in the back. You may also choose to use a golden ink. This golden watercolor does need to be mixed in. You can do designs with the lines we've learned in class. And if you'd like to create any details with this ink on the inside, you may do so. Remember, a key point to Sumi-e is to not overwork the piece, which can be a little difficult when you're excited about the materials you're going to use. You want to make sure there's a balance between the beauty of the white negative space and the positive space of the art piece you're creating.
Walking with this, it's very important that you don't hold it up and down. Your ink will start running across your paper.